Ladies and gentlemen, season 4 is here. How are you feeling, Hayden?
Our gang, let's go,
brother. Good to see you, man. It feels good to be in the new studio. Not gonna
awesome.
lie.
Like I feel like it's brighter. It's like it's cooler. It feels good to be in.
More space, man. Bro. That's one thing that we needed. Like we kind of outgrew our old spot quite a bit. And it's just nice now to have like the space to do more things. And for everyone that hasn't seen the new studio yet, go and check out the OGSP Instagram. We posted a full recap video. By the time this episode comes out, I'm sure there's going to be 8 different recap videos. Yeah, literally. But shout out to everyone that helped make the studio possible. Really, it was just me and you, to be honest. And then a couple of other people that helped us along the way. But we're blessed. Bigger shout out to
all of my pickle.
Yes. Okay. I'm glad you brought this up, bro. So shout out to All of My Pickle. They are going to be, one of our newest sponsors. They sponsored this episode and are going to be sponsoring a ton of episodes going forward. We're going to be doing a long-term partnership with them. If you guys have not tried All of My Pickle yet, you are sleeping.
Pickles, brines, sauerkrauts, all like you name it.
And somehow it's all like healthy for you. Like, you know how healthy. Like sometimes if you get, like for me, I'm a big fan. Like I'll just eat pickles out of the jar, bro. Like not even gonna lie. But I just found out recently that like, low-key, the pickle juice isn't even like that good for you. Yeah. I just thought since it's like a vegetable that it's like good for you. But All of My Pickle, man, like I'm kind of on my health shit right now. You know what I mean? Like trying to be healthier and like, on my wellness mode, But shout out to All of My Pickle. They're going to be sponsoring this episode and they're going to be sponsoring a ton of episodes going forward. If you guys haven't checked them out yet, make sure you do that. We're going to be telling you all a little bit more about them as the episode goes on. But yeah, good shout out, bro. Shout out to them because we want to be very strategic about the people that we partner with in this season. Exactly. I know that was one thing that we kind of talked about when we were moving into this new spot is like trying to work with other brands and other companies that kind of share the same vision, but in the same time are like someone that we feel like we can really promote their brand, Still
have to kind of like cater to our local market, but also this is like local, but also huge. They're shipping, practically nationwide.
100%.
And it's, I'm excited for what's to come this season.
It's truly a blessing working with them. I'm not going to lie. When they hit our line, we answered the call.
I think we went to their HQ and it was just cool. Their branding is super nice. Like their marketing is right up our alley. So stay tuned.
Yeah, they know what we're doing. Shout out All of My Pickle. That was a good one. I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite part of the new studio? We made so many upgrades in the new spot. So like just looking around, like what are some of the things that kind of stand out to you, bro?
I'd love having like a workspace. I know we've discussed trying to take some of your editing and everything, delegating work. This guy is a workhorse. I don't know how you do it sometimes, but it's nice to have that so we can have a media thing. We can watch games here.
For sure.
That's what's even cooler. But so we can also edit and
that's
do
one thing
other
that's funny is like at the old studio, whenever we wanted to there's been so many times where you're like, I want to edit, or you wanted me to teach you how to do something simple with editing. But it requires me to bring my laptop and us go prop up, 3 dudes deep on this little table that we had in there, and it just wasn't comfortable, bro. And it definitely wasn't somewhere where we both wanted to be editing all the time.
Exactly.
And with the new spot, I'm glad that you kind of set up the command center with the dual monitors and the giant TV, and it's gonna be sick, bro. I'm glad that you brought up watching games and stuff, because imagine watching. I know Ramon Tavares, he's due for a UFC fight here soon. Yep. And we've had guests on the pod where they're professional athletes doing stuff, or even a freaking
reactions.
Dude, yeah, literally. So this is okay. I wasn't even going to tease him with that, but I'm so glad you brought this up. So this season, one of the big changes that we're going to be implementing is there's not going to be a guest every single week. Okay. We found that trying to fit a guest in every single week not necessarily lowers the bar for the guest selection, because we're trying to always pump out an episode for you guys. But, me and Hayden want to do other things with the pod where it's not just so guest focused. Exactly. Sometimes the conversation is, in a way, it's it's us, but it's
this is our pod, not the guest's pod.
No, for sure.
In a way. And I completely love the idea that, I guess started this, but it's time to branch off. It's time to kind of do our own thing. You're starting to, pick up on your personal brand, and we got to pick up on the OG Sessions brand rather than
And how many times, bro, are you scrolling the gram? Me and you, our Instagram DMs are so stupid. The things that we're sending back and forth to each other, I'm I want to talk about this on the pod. I want to talk about this on the pod. And we're
slide that in on a
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't we got an entrepreneur coming on, and we're sitting over here talking about this stupid clip for 30 minutes before it starts. So I think the formula that we're gonna go with is every other episode we'll do a solo episode, and we'll try to do. We'll still have 2-3 guests a month. We're not saying that we're going away from the guest concept, because we do understand that also helped build this platform, and a lot of people that tune in are looking forward to that guest every week. But hey, you better start looking forward to us, brother, because
I feel like some of the guests too, that can kind of like open up our guest options, because now we can just have Josh on, you know, just one of the homies on, or just like shooting the shit with somebody that not necessarily is trying to, you know, come on for marketing reasons, or, you know, just shooting the shit, but it'd be cool to just like talk to people. And,
no, 100%. And like, others. That's a good point, is like, if we were to bring on like a friend of ours, it almost felt like they were being held to the same standard as like, you know, this athlete or this incredible entrepreneur, like someone that has like a ton of credibility for something that they've done. Whereas like, we just love our homies, bro. It's like, we want you on the pod just because we know how cool of a person you are, you know, but like, it does kind of put them in a tough spot too. And I think it is kind of intimidating. Like a guy like Josh, I know that he would be like not necessarily timid to come on the pod, but like he wouldn't be begging to be on the show. But we've begged him to come on just because he's such a funny guy. And I think that with us doing these solo episodes and bringing in and show like some of our friends and showing like a little bit more of our personal life and stuff like that, I think that it can only make them feel more comfortable, if that even makes sense.
Yeah,
you know,
a stronger connection with our audience.
If you guys have like suggestions, if y'all have ideas, or if you want to like send us stuff, you know what I mean? Like send us videos, send us products, send us like things like literally. And we want to kind of give our audience the platform to do that, like a space where they can feel included and send us their stuff as well. So if you guys do have any videos, or if you have let's say, you know, you're an artist out there and you've got a brand new music video, or you've got a song dropping, or you're an athlete and you found this like very funny video or whatever, anything that you think that we would gain value of, it's not a guarantee it's going to be on the show, but ogsessionspod@gmail.com, shoot us a message, email, or, you know, DM us on Instagram, do whatever. And we'd be happy to just like,
I forgot to mention, Soundcheck's going to like blow up. We got expansion options, like we've got soundproofing that you may or may not.
Don't tease too much, because I'll tell you right now, brother, like I'm so excited about the new changes to Soundcheck sessions. Like,
me too.
Without telling you guys the whole plan right now, because it'll be about a month after this episode comes out before you guys see your first one, which we already have people begging to be on this shit, bro. Like, we're going to have a whole separate Soundcheck session studio. So like before in the old space, we would just literally throw the mic up right here and they'd be performing right in front of the studio. But since we have all this room and we've got such a bigger spot now,
I swear it's like 4 times the size. Like,
it's got to be.
I feel like a quarter of this room is what our old studio used to be. Y'all have no clue.
Literally,
we should throw a party.
Literally, we could. Just to give the people like some kind of a reference point, bro. Like where the camera is right now was probably about 4 feet from where the other corner of the studio was in the old spot. So, you know, sometimes we'd have guests and they'd bring 2 guests with them, you know, to come and check out the studio. And before we know it, it's 5 of us chilling in this small studio space. And that felt so tight and so cramped. But in the new space that we're now, I mean, yeah, we could do a party. We could do like a 20-person like hangout.
I just thought about it too. Like we could throw in another angle if we had like additional. We could have 2 other people have a whole, you know, kind of circle conversation, and we have another camera.
I would love to get into like some kind of a streaming concept where we did have like, you know, 4 of us right here and then like a couple of our homies off to the side, and they had their own camera angle, and we could all kind of like throw something up on the TV, like let's watch a Jags game and react to it, you know? That'd be sick. I think with the new studio space, the possibilities are endless, and
if you could, who would you, like what's a goal guest if we could have him on for this season? Realistic.
I mean, like first name that comes to mind is Trevor Lawrence, right?
I'm a big Trevor guy.
I'm a big Trevor guy. Like I've been a big Trevor guy. I'm a Bama fan, but I've been a big Trevor guy since Clemson days, bro. I love Trevor Lawrence, and
he doesn't do a lot of interviews, and I feel like this would be something. This isn't very like, you know.
Oh, for sure. It's
ESPN or, you know.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like he would do it for the city.
I agree.
Yeah, y'all start tagging Trevor Lawrence in the YouTube comments or tagging him in Instagram. I know Lil Duval would be a really fun guest to get on here. Just shout out to him, everything he's done for the city. You know, I don't know, man. Like, how about you? Those are like 2 names that come to mind like right off the rip. But do you have anyone that like strikes you?
I think it'd be funny. You ever heard of a Cash Grabber 9000?
No.
Oh my God, he's hilarious. He's from down south. He's in like South Florida, I think. But if you know, you know.
Okay.
If you know, you know.
I'm gonna look him up right after we finish it.
I've sent you stuff about him, and he's just think of like intrusive thoughts. He says them and makes like a 15-second video of him sitting in his car, and it's the most outrageous shit you've ever heard.
Oh, I've seen this
but
guy.
It's freaking
I know exactly
gold.
what you're talking about.
And I think it'd be so funny to have him.
He's got a ton of Instagram followers, right?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, see, I would love to get him on.
Yeah.
And I think another like cool goal for this pod, for this season specifically, would be to branch out and do some episodes outside of the studio. I know that we've done live shows before. We've traveled to different places and interviewed people in different cities or whatever, but I would love to make that more of a regular thing, like once a month, like drive down to Tampa. There's people like all over the state of Florida that we can very easily just pack up the microphones and drive to and do an interview. And I would like to get into more street interviews. Like I think that like we've done such a good job with this show of structuring it in a way to where we have never put ourselves in a box. We have no niche. We'll interview all different kinds of people. This is not a sports podcast. It's not a political podcast. It's not a religious podcast. This is there's literally no walls or no box that we've kind of put ourselves in with this show. And so I think we need to take advantage of that and like start doing more crazy shit and seeing what sticks with the audience, you know?
I think with like Folio's little, we won Folio's best podcast of the year. Sure. That with the addition of just like our business mindset, I feel like it's time to we're on the up.
One thing that I do want to do more of that I don't think me and you have done a great job of, like I listen to podcasts all the time, but I would love to start like doing more research on like, why is No Jumper such a big show? Like why, like what is it about No Jumper? Like, cause I don't watch it all the time, but like I know Adam 22 is the GOAT, and like maybe the whole Lena thing like blew that up, but like in a way, like before all of that, No Jumper was balling. Like, and they've got guys like AD and like all these different guys that come on that are characters, and they're only big characters because of that show, which is kind of a similar situation to us. We're like, we're not famous. We've never like had any clout before we started this thing. And so I think it would be cool to like look at some of these other shows. I know I've mentioned like Bussin' with the Boys and like some of these like, they're not Joe Rogan, but like they've got motion. Yeah. And why? You know what I mean? I would love to do more research and like really dive deep into like the game and like learning why shows blow up, some shows don't, shows fail, and just, just trying to see kind of like what that formula looks like and implementing it with our show. But nonetheless, I'm super excited to get into this episode today. We are actually, so we're recording this intro a day after we did the interview because we were so shook after we finished the interview yesterday.
I was thinking about I've been thinking about it all day. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? I was trying to explain it to my sister. Like, you don't just pull a name like I pulled last night. And that's just, I think some of like Michael Jackson, Prince, like there's certain things that you'll see it in a little bit. Just like there's certain names that
are obvious.
I was trying super hard to get him to screw up in a way. And it was mind-blowing. It was crazy.
There is no explanation for how he did some of the tricks that he did. There's no way to know. Like, even with the simple stuff kind of towards the end, you guys will see all of this and you'll kind of have a reference for what we're doing. But, like, me and you each drew these cards that were completely at random, and he never looks at the deck, so he has no idea which ones are missing. And we put them on the table, and he never looks at them. And we go and he does a whole nother trick, and he continues to talk to us, and we ask him 15 more questions, and the interview kind of continues in a way. And then 15 minutes later, he guesses the card. And there's no sleight of hand. There's no like, and it just had me shook the whole evening, bro. Like, with certain like magic tricks, you're like, okay, this is magic. This is like sleight of hand. There's like, there's somewhere within the process that me and you don't understand that's happening, and that's how he gets you. But with this, I couldn't even figure out where that point was, and then he continued to do 15 more tricks for us, and you guys will just
it was crazy.
Buckle up, because this is a really good episode, and we recorded an intro last night, but we only made it like 5 minutes in before we were like, okay, we can't even talk right now. Like, we were so shook. But yeah, today's guest is mentalist and mind reader Alex Trendler.
So sick.
One of the most incredible dudes that I've ever met. I've actually met him at a couple of events before we recorded this interview.
You found that out.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, that's true. So he actually lives like right down the street from me, which is really cool. He will leave you baffled. So like I said, buckle up, enjoy this episode. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Do you have anything else?
Let's roll out.
All right, let's get this shit popping. Alex Trendler. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure having you on the show. So let's go ahead and give the people a brief introduction of who Alex Trendler is. What do you do?
So my name is Alex, and I have a show. It's called Alex Trendler Reads Your Mind. And I got to tell you, I hate that title. I wanted to call it something, more pretentious, more serious sounding, but I didn't want to have to explain what I do to anyone. I wanted the title to say exactly what happens, who I am, what you're going to see, and I'm a psychic entertainer.
I like that.
Come to the show, and it's 90 minutes of qualitative demonstrations of mind reading, hypnosis, a bunch of really weird, spooky bullshit.
How does someone get into this?
I'm still trying to figure that out, man.
Like, what kind of sparked it for you? Did you always have like an interest in magic growing up and things like that?
Honestly, no. It really kind of came out of left field for me. So I used to work a corporate job back in New York. I was a SOM. I was a wine director, big hotel, and then I worked for this big multinational hospitality firm. And I used to go out to California every year. And it was a little bit random. I was in this writing group online, and I had a friend of mine who was putting together a fundraiser out in Hollywood. And it was for people who couldn't afford hospital bills, and it was over Halloween weekend, and he was putting together a theatrical seance. And he and I had never met before. His name was Nick Creature, and he flew me out to California to perform a seance over Halloween.
What is that? What's a theatrical seance?
So you're familiar with the seance, like, joining hands, talking to the dead, ghosts and so forth?
No, I'm not. Okay.
Okay. So
it sounds cool.
So let me bring you up to speed, right? Like, you're alive right now. One day you won't be. But if you still want to talk to your friends, you call a guy like me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a long distance call. So
weird than that.
It goes back to antiquity, man. It's been done forever. There's all kinds of occult practices. There's all kinds of historical references to people trying to talk to the dead. There are famous painters who are trying to contact their lost loved ones beyond the veil of life and death. And throughout the 19th century and the early 20th century in America, doing at-home seances in a parlor became really, really popular. And people would use the Ouija board, they would use scrying mirrors, and there was this whole golden age of American metaphysical spirituality where people explored seance, and they were doing it legitimately. They were trying to, really contact spirits, to really find the dead, and I think that's really cool. But what we did out in LA was not legitimate. It was done more like a haunted mansion style thing. It was all of the technique of seance, it was all of the aesthetic of seance, but it was clearly fiction. It was for entertainment. We sold seats in an audience for people to come and watch a show.
Gotcha.
And we designed the show to be entertaining for people who wanted to have a little bit of like spooky entertainment. You know
for
what
sure,
I mean?
yeah.
And what's really cool is that in actual historical seances, the mediums, the psychic mediums who are trying to channel the dead, you can believe whatever you want, and I can believe whatever I want, but the fact remains a lot of them were fraudulent. And there's a lot of details about how specifically they were fraudulent. And if you are very studious and you're very patient and you know where to look, you can find records of how they were able to convince people in drawing rooms that they were being visited by ghosts. So there's a whole playbook.
What kind of things would they do to convince them? Like, what are some of the secrets? I'm just so curious.
So there's a lot of really silly stuff you can do. And like some of it's just suggestion, like with Ouija boards, right? People are putting a planchette over the letters and they're pushing it around and they're spelling out the names of loved ones or commands from beyond the grave. Sometimes there'd be a secret Confederate, hanging out like behind a curtain. So once all the lights are down low, they pull a string and a book falls over, something like that.
Yeah, true.
A lot of it, unfortunately, once you know the secret behind a lot of the stuff, it stops being beautiful. You know what I mean? Like you'll see something and it's really amazing, and then you find out how it's done. You're like,
do you feel like that with the Oz guy? Is his name Oz? Like
Oz the Mentalist. Yeah, he's incredible, man.
I see his videos all the time, and I'm like mind blown, bro. Like
he's great.
Whenever he goes, I'm sure you've seen the ones where he goes like,
"That's what I was scared for today." I'm like, this guy's gonna like talk about my ex or something. Like, I'm like, oh god.
Just make sure you clear your internet search history. You can be okay.
Okay. Oh lord.
No, it's cool. Like I see his videos all the time, and that's kind of like the only like experience I have with anyone that's like a mentalist or whatever is just seeing his videos online. Yeah. And I go down that rabbit hole all the time where it's like the NFL teams and stuff. Sure. And he'll go and he knows like nothing about the guy. You know what I mean? He'll just be like, he throws a ball to someone random and they'll catch it and he reads her mind and 10 seconds later, everyone in the room is just like amazed. And
he's really doing a great job, man.
He does, yeah.
He's definitely the poster boy for mentalism right now. I never used to hear anything but David Blaine. People like, oh, you're like David Blaine, you're like Chris Angel, whatever. Yeah. But that's magic, and magic is cool, and I think magic is great, but like, I don't really do any magic. I don't do any sleight of hand. And David Blaine's really good with, doing tricky stuff with cards, or, I don't know how he does what he does, but it's not the way that I do what I do. So when O's kind of came on the scene, I gave people a frame of reference to understand what I do. And I don't know, what his style and my style are very different, but the fact that he's out there taking these like enormous swings, going on ESPN, like bringing it to the theater of, like popular sports and, pop culture and the news. He was on The View. He's on these, finance shows, all this. It really puts it in a different context, and I think people are used to seeing it. I mean, first of all, I think most people aren't used to seeing it at all.
Yeah.
Probably the most famous mentalist, like of, certainly the most famous living mentalist was Darren Brown. And I love Darren Brown. I've seen him on Broadway twice. He's got all these great specials. He's from the UK. But even though he's probably the most famous one to have ever lived, or one of the most talented, most people who aren't interested in that world haven't heard of him. You know what I mean?
True.
So O's bringing this into the mainstream has definitely helped to contextualize a lot of what I do for people. So even though his style and mine are very different, like when people are interested in my show, I hear a lot of people go like, "Oh, he's like O's," or then they say Oz or whatever on ESPN. Like, yeah, it is very mysterious. It is completely unexplainable, right? But it's not scary. It's not. It's not weird. He doesn't make people uncomfortable. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing when people are coming out to a show and they don't understand it. Is he going to read my mind? Is he going to reveal secrets? What's going on? So I was doing the show in Fernandina. It was maybe a couple of weeks ago up at Ash Street Cigar Lounge, and I have this one effect that I do in all my shows, and it's a living and dead test. And I have someone think of a dead rock star usually. And so this is something that comes from the Victorian Spirit Theater and all the seances, is they had these living and dead tests, and you can determine what dead name someone is thinking of. But I don't want my shows to be negative. I don't want people to be thinking of, like Mama, or whatever. Like, funny, I'm not interested in like Great Aunt Gertrude. And like, to be honest, like the audience isn't interested in it either. You know what I mean? It's a little too. So I had people start thinking of dead rock stars because I thought that was fun. You start thinking of a dead musician, and not just anyone, not Mozart, not Tchaikovsky, but someone who passed within your lifetime, someone whose music that means something to you. And, so I'm having this guy, he's up on stage and he's thinking of somebody. And I find out later he's thinking about Prince, right? And great one. And as I'm doing the effect and we're connecting, he starts saying like, whoa, hey, buddy, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have come up. I got to bail. I'm so sorry. I can't do this. I got to sit down. You got to choose somebody else. And I was like, all right, cool. He goes back to his seat, and I was like, it's really brave of you to come up here. It takes a lot of confidence. If anyone would like to join me, we'll continue. And someone did, and we had a great show. But after the show, I went up to him, and I was like, hey, man, I hope you didn't feel uncomfortable up there. And he said, no, it was fine. But, I'm kind of a big deal, like financial advisor here on the island, and I have a lot of private clients. And I was thinking like, this might seem kind of fun, but like once you're in there, and you're finding the name of the musician, like, I don't know what else you're going to see. And like, I really have to think about the privacy of my clients first. I can't just have you looking around in there. There's too much sensitive information. And I was like,
that's crazy.
Okay, cool. So like that guy is a true believer,
Oh, yeah.
That's really fun.
Do you have, what do you think the percentages of people that are true believers as opposed to the ones that aren't?
It's hard to say.
Just not like everyone in general. I'm saying like the go to your shows that you've met,
It's hard to say. I hope that more true believers leave the show than come to it. I think I've definitely converted a few, which is pretty fun.
For sure.
Evel Knievel said before he jumped the Snake River Canyon, he said there's like three types of people. There's the people who are out there like really rooting for me and they want to see me make it. And there's some people who, they don't necessarily want anything bad to happen, but they don't want to miss it if, if I do crash. And then there's a very small percentage of people out there actually hoping that I do fail. And he said, that's really who I do it for. The people who are hoping that I fail because I want to prove them wrong. And I know that what I do isn't like, jumping over a canyon on a motorcycle, but that's largely how I feel when I go in. One of the first questions I ask is I say, like, who here truly believes in ESP, psychic phenomenon, and something metaphysical and magical beyond our everyday experience? Show of hands. And everyone raised their hand like, okay. And who here thinks I'm full of shit? And then a few other hands go up. I'm like, cool. That's who I want coming up on stage to join me. Like,
True,
I want
yeah.
those skeptics coming up, you know?
Have you ever gotten nervous for any of these shows, man? Or are you like...
Yeah, it's funny, man. The way that I get nervous is really convenient, you know? I used to work with the guy, and I won't say who he is in case he's watching, but we used to work together a little bit. And he would have all this confidence right up until he went on stage. And then he was super skittish, and things wouldn't always go too well. And me, I'll overthink the show right up until the moment I get on stage. And as soon as I get on stage and I turn on my mic and I welcome everybody there, like, I'm fine. I feel like I'm at home.
Have you ever like failed at reading someone's mind?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, 100%. Are you kidding me?
And what does that feel like? Or how does that go down? Like, are
awesome.
you...
It's the best thing in the world.
Really?
Yeah. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but like, all right, so I'm going to be honest with you about something. I want 20% of my show to fail. I do. Because it means if I'm failing like that, it means I'm taking bolder chances and I'm pushing for something really impossible. And if those chances are paying off, it's like playing with house money. Like, you ever go to a casino and you get a voucher and you're playing with the house money?
For sure.
So you can just, like, you know, throw it all on red, you know, do whatever you want. It kind of doesn't matter. And as long as it keeps coming back to you and you're winning, you can just let it ride. And then if you do wind up losing, you're like, cool, go to the bar, you know, whatever you want. So a lot of times when I'm doing my shows, especially if things are going well, I will just start taking like more and more outrageous and bold chances with people. And I'll push to failure. And I will do that until something fails. And it's kind of funny, man. When something does fail, it kind of ratifies everything that succeeds. Because if it were magic, it's like, well, it's a trick. It works every time, right? Like, it always works. But if you go up there and I fail in something mind reading, but what I did with you earlier worked, now you're going home thinking like, well, no, it doesn't always work. You can't always read someone's mind, right? Like, so how did he know that about me? Right. And I feel that the failure in a certain sense, like builds a foundation of reality around
Does
the
it
show.
like humanize you a little bit too, where I feel like that in a way it proves that like he's going to make a mistake as well. You know what I mean? So I think it does help with the joke. I see where you're going with that, like, or help with the trick or whatever. I definitely see how that can help.
I'm curious. Because I'm fascinated by like when you're able to like trigger somebody to forget like how to talk or like stuff like that. Because you mentioned psychic, like. As somebody who bites his fingernails, like, is there like a way that you can like, you know, hypnotize me in a way to like where you stop habits and like stuff like that? I hear crazy stories that even like allergies and like stuff are like cut from people, and I'm an allergy boy. I want to. Like,
oh yeah. Okay.
Oh my God, that'd be so funny.
Is there a way like? Have you ever heard of those stories where like people
100%.
get hypnotized to
You
like
can now eat
stop
fish,
doing?
like-
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Eggs,
True.
please. Like
Clinical hypnosis is absolutely real, and people use clinical hypnosis in legitimate medical settings, and they use it in, you know, all kinds of different types of therapy. You know, overcome a fear of flying or commitment issues, to be more proactive, work out more, diet, whatever. And I want to be really clear that while that is real and I'm a huge believer of it, I am not capable of helping you in any meaningful way whatsoever. Like, I can entertain you and your friends. We can have a great night. And a big backbone of my business is not just the stage show, but I've been giving personal one-on-one readings for people I have some clients who've been with me for more than 10 years. And,
what would something like that look like? So
I do a lot of like palm reading and tarot. So I saw you at the you won the Best of Jack's 2025 for Folio. So I won for Best Tarot Reader in Jacksonville.
Oh, I seen that.
Really?
That's right.
Yeah, it's just super fun, man. I have a lot of clients, and I meet with people. I mean, I'm almost once a day now. I don't have any days off, and some of them are remote. Like, there's this one woman. She's been with me since 2013. And I mean, that's 13 years, right?
Yeah.
And she's in Michigan now, and we'll meet like on like Zoom or something like once a month, and, you know, do readings for her, sometimes for her family. But doing one-on-one or like small group personal readings, and that has nothing to do with, you know, the mentalism. There's no trick there. That's like actual like personal readings, right?
Okay.
And I don't try to trivialize those by bringing in, you know, like tricks or reveals. There's no, you know, theatricality or punchline to it, right?
True.
Those readings are real, and that forms like kind of the foundation of like how I structured.
What could someone learn through
business.
those? Like, what do the tarot cards usually tell you?
Oh man, a ton. Like, for
Really?
real. So, and look, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
So, all right, I'm not gonna, you know, BS you about any like metaphysics or anything like that, or ask you to believe in anything too crazy. You can come to it with that. And I might even have some of that myself, right? But if I'm going to approach it honestly as a reading for you, and we're going to, deal with something, it has to work even if there's nothing magical about it whatsoever, right? And I tell everyone that I will not ask you to value faith over pragmatism, right? You come with your own faith, and I respect that faith. But if I ask you to have a certain belief coming in, then it's gimmicky, right? And it's kind of skewed in a certain direction.
Sure.
So think about it this way. Forget about tarot cards for a minute, right? Think about like song lyrics and stuff, okay? Like music or art, whatever like makes you feel something. If you take a problem and you reframe it as a question, and then you attack that question with random balanced sets of stimulus, you will provoke critical thinking as long as you give absurd ideas respect and you remain optimistically objective.
Wow.
Right? Like you absolutely will.
Yeah.
And there are all these stories about Fortune 500 companies or astronauts or whatever, scientists who disrupt a normal way of thinking. Usually it's by a problem. Like NASA has an air filter break in space. Now you don't have a choice. You have to address this problem, right?
Yeah.
And you can't think outside the box. You have to think inside the box because you're in a space capsule. You can't go to Home Depot. You can't have something Amazon, right?
Yeah.
So you got to think inside the box and think like, what do we have here? What's the problem? How do we address it? And in the case, I think it was Mercury or Gemini, their air filter broke, and they built a new one. They ripped the pages, which were laminated, out of their flight manual and wrapped them in socks. And they were able to make a makeshift air filter in space. Now, no one teaches you how to do that.
Yeah,
like
true.
No one's saying like, hey, you want to make an air filter out of socks? There's this YouTube video and, like that's not real, right?
Yeah.
No one would have done that if they weren't provoked into doing it. They had to disrupt the normal way of thinking and then address it with all the tools that they had available and then give absurd ideas respect. And in the same way, addressing your problems with tarot or with palmistry, it works very similarly. If you had a deck of cards and they all said like, you suck, then that's not balanced, right? You say, I got a problem. What do I do? And it's like, oh, you suck. Oh, okay. That's not balanced. But if half of them say you suck and the other half say, whoa, you're doing a great job. Okay, so now you're getting somewhere, right?
Yeah,
you can start kind of like provoking that. And then if you further subdivide and you have, more and more types of answers to these questions, you can start provoking critical thinking in a way that you probably wouldn't be able to do without.
And do you select the tarot cards? Like, how does that? I think I've actually gotten one before, but it was a long time ago. It actually might have been one of Disco Dolly's events.
Okay.
But, or my girl got one or something. And it's like, you're like the consumer or the person that you're doing the reading for, they pick their own cards, right?
Oftentimes,
or do you select? Okay, I see. I didn't explain how it is.
I don't like to follow a lot of rules like that, right? One of the questions that I like to ask is, do you understand what these cards mean, right? And sometimes with people who've been with me before, especially lately, a lot of people do a lot of their own research before they hire a reader, right? And they'll come in and they'll have a little bit of knowledge, and I'll say, well, do you know what the cards mean? And if they say yes, I'll say, okay, so let's address a goal. And if we were to shuffle these cards and you were to pick one, which one would like scare you the most? Which one do you not want to turn over?
Yeah.
And then without even touching a deck of cards, right? Like you've got someone engaging in this thinking process and they're thinking like, oh, I really hope I don't see such and such, right? So I was reading for a woman recently and she said temperance. She wouldn't want to see temperance. And I asked her why. And temperance represents being patient and being slow and moderation and kind of taking a step back. And she said that she'd been doing that for far too long. She'd been taking all this advice from people telling her to be patient and things would work out. And she'd been taking a backseat in her life and she'd been, waiting for these things to resolve as she observes them. And she's like, I don't want to be told that anymore. Like, I feel like it's time to, really instigate action and disrupt things, even if it's bad. And I'll have to trust that once things are disrupted, that I will land in a beneficial way because of, my abilities, because of my support structure, because of faith, because of God, like whatever it happens to be. And I was like, okay, you didn't need me to turn over any cards. I didn't even need to bring my deck. I just asked you that question. And now you're telling me that you're done with being patient. You're done with taking a passive role in your problems. And you want to take an active role and disrupt things because you know that you have the aptitude or the ability to be fine.
So
right?
It can be like therapy in a way.
In a sense,
that's
it is.
In
a sense, it is. And most of the time, I don't do a whole lot of one-off sessions with people. And some of it is because I just don't have the time anymore. I mean, I'm busy. I'm doing like 2 shows a week. I'm all over the place, like with my stage show. I have a lot of clients I've been with for years. I need to prioritize repeat visits with them. I got all kinds of stuff going on in my life. So, I don't have a lot of time for one-off visits. But also, I find that when people do like say you hire me, you want to do a tarot reading, right? Cool. So we do it, and we look at all this stuff. You're like, all right, great. And then you go back to your life, you don't make any changes, right? And then you're like, well, that tarot reading was bullshit. Nothing changed in my life. I still got the same problems. So, well, you didn't take action, right? So you look at the cards aren't going to change your life, but what they're going to do is they're going to help you ask deeper questions about what you need to do. So if you want that to work, you got to meet me halfway, right? So let's book 6 sessions over the course of a year or over 6 months, right? Define a goal, and then every time we meet, I'm going to ask you, what have you been doing to reach this goal? Right? How are these questions helping? What is the next question to ask, right? Is the old way of thinking that got you to where you are no longer serving you to move forward? Like, what do we need to, disrupt to find it? And I think that a lot of times, like tarot or whatever oracle you use, whether it's palmistry or tarot or, reading tea leaves or whatever, a lot of times they kind of tell us what we already know in our heart, but we can't really see.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to tell you something. I call this the pizza story, and people want to know why tarot works. So a few years ago, I had this friend visit me from the UK, and this is when I was living in New York. And he was passing through because he was doing some shows, and he stayed with me. We went on this night out, but he doesn't drink. So he wanted to eat all the food in New York. So we got like dumplings in Chinatown, and we got hot dogs in Coney Island with all the chili on them, and we got one of these burgers on St. Mark's Place, and all this stuff. And finally, we saved pizza for last, right? And I take him to this place, and it's Champion Pizza on Essex Street. And by the way, there was a guy there. This is 20 years ago now, but for an extra $20, he would make you a pizza that had toppings on both sides.
Oh my God!
Whoa.
Trust me, you don't want it, but just knowing that he's like willing to do it, it feels illegal.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's crazy. That sounds delicious, though, honestly.
You get like buffalo chicken on top, Hawaiian on the bottom, and like, I don't know how you're going to eat it, but.
I was going to say, yeah, it's like on the box, but whatever. That's cool.
So I take my buddy Chris to this place, and there's these 2 slices, and one was this Hawaiian, and it had like mango, pineapple, ham, bell pepper, bacon, all this different cheese. And the other was this like kind of like, buffalo chicken, had the sauce and everything. And he's looking at both of them, and he's like, oh my God, this looks so good. But he was too full. He couldn't get both. He could only get one. And then he's got to, fly back home the next day to the UK. And he's like, well, which one should I get? And I was like, I can't answer that for you, man. Why don't you flip a coin? And he goes, well, all right. So he takes a coin, he flips it and goes up. Oh. He looks at the coin. You can just see he's like immediately gutted. He's like, just looks like he's gonna cry. He's like, oh man. And I was like, what's wrong? He's like, I really wanted that buffalo chicken one.
Yeah.
And I was like, the coin didn't tell you what you have to get. There's no pizza police. There's no coin police, right? The coin told you what you wanted the whole time. And I know it's a silly story, but in a certain sense, that's kind of how fortune telling works, right? If you already know the answer, you don't need magic.
You already named like the big dogs, like. Who was it? David Blaine, Chris Angel.
Yeah.
Is there any like local or like any new upcoming people that are not as big that are on your radar in a way?
There are some people who I associate with, who I write with. I have a partner in the United Kingdom, and his name's Daniel. He just released a book, and he's a very, very talented mentalist. He's a very cool guy. I got a friend in New York. His name's Andy Gersh. And he's a phenomenal magician. I've known him for years. And in a sense, he's one of the ones who pushed me to really get into this professionally in the first place. That being said, I try to have as little to do with the community as possible. I know it works different, like in other art forms where people try to really collaborate and know each other. But what I do is like really unique and weird, even by standards of other people in the same industry. But also like, a lot of bars know they want to have a band, right? Nobody knows they want to have a mind reading show, right?
True.
I have to go out and convince every single venue that what I do is something that they should pay me for, right?
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a hard sell sometimes. I have to go out, I have to prove my value, I have to show what I've done in the past, I have to give a demonstration. And what I do is so much more lately about like sales, marketing, and finance and like numbers on paper than it is about like my show, because I have to prove it.
Yeah.
And most people, like you guys, for example, right? Like you've seen me perform and you'll see me perform again, but who else have you seen in person perform like Mentalism professionally?
Yeah. Nothing.
And you're right.
I mean, yeah, I think I've probably seen like magic shows before. Like I can recall like people showing me magic, but I don't think I've ever been to a magic show. I guess I should rephrase that. But like a clown, like I've been to like a circus. You've been to a circus?
I just watch it on TV.
Not like, saying, you know what I mean, but like that, a circus is like the only time I guess I'd probably see some kind of, whatever.
So yeah, my point is that like most adults, even adults who are like social, affluent, going out, seeking out new things to entertain themselves with, are probably only going to see magic or mentalism once in their lifetime, right?
Wow.
And I want that to be me as much as it can be, right? And in the area, I am that guy. There's no one else really in town who's doing what I'm doing. Might be a couple of people in like Orlando, Miami, and so forth.
Can someone be taught how to read minds, or is it something you're born with?
So it gets muddy, you know what I mean? It gets real muddy. The craft of mentalism, as it kind of relates to like magic and stagecraft, is something you can absolutely learn. But I got into this kind of a back doorway where I was giving a lot of personal readings, and that's why I was originally brought out to California to do the seance show.
Yeah.
And doing the seance show showed me that if I had an audience full of 150 people, that I can make 150 times more money than sitting down with one person at a time reading palms.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
So I started to do, my metaphysics and my readings in group settings. I was teaching classes, I was giving seminars, I was doing all this stuff. And then I started to structure it a little more theatrically. People didn't just want to come and get meandering readings that had no real beginning or end. And it was hard to do for a crowd. So I started to give it more of a structure or a story, like a direction to go. And that brought me into the craft of like learning how to write a mentalism show. I mean, I could teach you some stuff today that you could go out and show your friends, and you could give the illusion of mind reading, right? You take something mental and you make it physical, and then you steal the physical, and then you tell people that you always knew it and you got these powers. And like,
True,
then you're a mind reader, right? And there's a lot of ways to do that. And some of them are very artful and beautiful, and some of them are a little, in my opinion, cheesy. And I try really hard to stay away from the cheesy stuff. But in terms of the like giving readings and intuition, I wouldn't say you're born with it, but the skill set, like anything else. Can I go off on a little tangent?
Of course, yeah. So you're thinking, no, yeah, it's so interesting.
So if you want to if you want to learn how to play, like violin, or you want to learn how to juggle, or you want to write a novel or get really good at woodworking, no matter what you do, you're going to go through a period where you really suck at it. You're going to go through a period where you're making mistakes. It's bad. You don't want to show anyone what it is, but you get to compartmentalize all those failures. Like everything that you do that doesn't work out, you can hide. You can practice in private at home. You can, delete your first 2 drafts of the novel and only show people once it's finished, right? You can have a whole garage full of cabinets that look like absolute garbage, and nobody's got to know. But with what I do, I can't practice by myself. I can't do it on my own. I have to be around other people and do it for them. And I think that for most people trying to learn this, it's an enormous, social barrier to get proficient with it, because all of your failures are public.
True.
All of them. You're going to go through a year or two where you are not good at what you're doing, but you have to keep doing it and pushing through it until you come out the other side and you're good at it. But every one of those failures is public. And when you're doing something like giving people personal readings, you're failing at something which is meaningful to them. You're failing at something which is supposed to be intimate and helpful for them. And to fail someone in that capacity it's a little disheartening, and I was pretty thankful. I had a really weird circumstance that got me over that hump a long time ago. And it's a little weird, and it's a little dark.
What is it?
But I'm happy to share it if you want to.
Yeah, please,
okay.
yeah.
So I was on Amtrak, and I'd already known how to read, and I was doing mostly palms, but a little bit of tarot and some other things. And, I was a Latin scholar, so I was studying all these ecclesiastical Latin church-sanctioned texts on necromancy and astrology and just really weird, spooky stuff. But it's just because I like the aesthetic. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And I was giving some readings, and I had a little bit of a mentor, and she taught me how. But I wasn't over that hump. I wasn't really comfortable doing it for anyone unless I already knew you, right?
Yeah.
But I was on Amtrak, and our train hit a guy. And this dude died on the tracks. It was outside of Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And if somebody gets hit by a train and dies on the tracks, so they got to stop the train, clear the tracks, coroner report, all the things. But then the conductor or the engineer, whoever the train pilot is, right?
Yeah.
He's not allowed to drive the train no more, right? Because something bad's happened, and there's like 800 people in this thing, traveling at like 150 miles an hour. So it's in the middle of the night in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, on like a Sunday, right? Like they had to fly someone into DC and then bring him down on a CSX train. Anyway, short story long, we were stopped on the tracks for something like maybe like 29, 30 hours. And people were losing their minds, man.
Crazy.
Like the dining car ran out of food. Like people are like bartering for like bottles of water and liquor. Everyone's losing their mind. People want to smoke cigarettes, but they can't legally leave the train. And they're struggling to keep things, like contained. Yeah. Everyone's just climbing the walls. And there's like no cell reception. We're nowhere, right? Yeah. And so we're all like hanging out in the club car. And I started giving palm readings. And just for fun, just to pass time, right? And the thing about palm reading is you give one, all of a sudden you're giving another, and you're giving another, and the next person's like, do me next, do me next, do me next.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I got this line. And everybody wants one. And people are offering me, like this one guy, he's like, wait, you wait right there. I'm like, okay. And he like runs back to his seat, whatever. And he comes back and he's got half of like a Subway sandwich, like a cold cut trio wrapped up. And it's like a day and a half old. It's been in a suitcase. It's all smushy. And he's like, I'll give you the Subway sandwich, man. Just get me in line. Give me a reading. And I was like, got you.
For sure. That's funny.
Random.
I probably did, and I'm not exaggerating, I probably did over 150 readings over the course of about like maybe 12 hours just being stopped on the tracks. Wow. And I kept a little notebook, and I'm like a meticulous note taker. I'm always like taking notes and all this stuff and doodling. I took notes on everyone I did the readings for and how they reacted and what I got right, what I got wrong, and how they felt about it. And when I finally got back to New York, felt like years later, it was like a day or two later, right?
Yeah.
I reached out to all those people. I texted them or emailed. It's like, hey guys, my name's Alex. I gave you the palm reading on the train. Anyway, if you'd like another reading or anyone who'd like a reading, like please be in touch. And I'm still in touch with a couple of those people.
Wow.
And that was like 2011, I think.
That is
like
impressive.
That. But doing that really
How
got
were
me
you
over
at that
the
time?
hump.
Like at that time were you kind of...
I was timid.
Yeah, I was going to say,
God,
were you like not, were you
super
confident
timid.
in your show at that point? So how long had you been doing palm readings when
I'd
you
been
did
doing
those?
that for I've been doing it since I was little, right? Like maybe like a teenager, a little earlier, like middle school age.
Okay.
But I wasn't doing it professionally. I didn't have a show or anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that, it was not even on my radar of things to do. It was just this little extra skill that I had.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, doing it on the train, it was there was nothing else to do. It was a captive audience, you know what I mean? And everyone was so eager to get one, and they were so eager to be entertained by it. They're not even looking for metaphysical answers. They just like were stuck on a train, right? And there's nothing to do. They were so eager to be entertained by it that they didn't really care if I was like hitting or missing on these things, right? And it was a great opportunity to really push through like a difficult patch. And then when I got back to New York, I had like 150 palm readings under my belt, and I was hungry to go out and like start doing more.
That's crazy. So that's a good way to kind of like avoid the awkward stage where you're getting some wrong, or you're getting some right. They don't even care if you're getting it wrong. They're just like, there's nothing else to do.
That's it. So there's nothing else to do.
Wow.
And so if you want to learn how to really give good readings or get good at something, just get stuck on an Amtrak train for like 29 hours and you'll be golden, man. That's it.
That's cool. So whenever you got back to New York, did you kind of start taking, like you just kept, continuing with your path? You knew you wanted to do this eventually.
Yeah, it was always kind of in the back burner, man. At that point, I was working in wine. I was studying to be a sommelier. I was the wine director for the Washington Square Hotel, and I had a really nice professional life. Paid the bills. It gave me a really nice lifestyle, and it occupied me for most of the stuff that I was doing, but this was always kind of on the back burner. And, the history of wine and the history of agriculture is absolutely inseparable from old beliefs in magic and occult. It's all about, astrology and the moon and agriculture and spiritualism. And there was always something really cool and spooky to learn about and appreciate,
Yeah.
So I feel like there's been a common thread through everything I've done that's been a little bit weird. I'm definitely not a normal person, but...
Do you have anything else, Aiden?
I was going to ask, what does like a mentalist Spotify playlist look like?
Oh boy. What does mine look like, or one in general? All right. So lately I've been listening to a lot of like rock from the 70s. Okay. And I'm a big Led Zeppelin fan.
Here we go.
Big Led Zeppelin. I started to kind of deep dive on Deep Purple.
Okay.
And that's really just because of an Instagram post I saw. I just always associated them with, like Smoke on the Water and like a couple of things like that. And I saw someone like really talk about them, and There's a venue called Saxon Blue up in Fernandina Beach. And the owner of that venue came to one of my shows at Blue Jay, and he was posting about his record collections. He's got a listening room and a vintage record store. And he was talking about Deep Purple. And I was like, all right, let me get into it. Sure, why not? I got a long drive ahead of me. I got a lot of shows out of town. I got time on the road to kill. And I was like, okay, like that's pretty good. Probably my number one with a bullet favorite band of all time is the Velvet Underground.
Okay.
Enormous Velvet Underground fan. As far as soloist goes, probably Bowie. Huge Bowie
That's
guy.
a good one.
Yeah, that is.
Bowie, man. You can't beat Bowie. It's just, when Bowie died, I was an unfuckable mess of snot and tears. Like, it affected me personally, man. I took a week off work. I just watched live videos of him, drank, did drugs, and I was like, oh, Bowie.
It's like my Michael Jackson. I'll never forget where I was. And like,
oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Where were you?
I was actually headed to Disney World, and just remember, like, that was back when we used to listen to the radio. So
Yeah.
it was just announced, and I'll never forget that.
Okay.
My grandma was obsessed with Michael Jackson. That was like one of my like early memories was like her. Every time we'd go to my grandma's house, she'd always have Michael Jackson on. Always watching MJ.
Okay.
And then when he passed away, as like a present, my family got her one of those like life-size cutouts. I forget what they were called, but there's like a brand where they'd make these like giant cutouts of the person, you know? And we got her a giant Michael Jackson cutout.
Like a fat
And
head.
it stood right, when he died, it stood right behind her TV. So anytime she watched TV, Michael Jackson just sitting there like staring at her from behind TV.
That's
so
cool.
fucking funny, man.
I want to see some stuff.
I want to see something too.
Yeah?
Could we
Yeah.
like
So
do
you want
a
to grab me
reading
that?
or-
Or you want? Yeah, you can grab me that table. I'll show
Yeah.
you something.
For sure. Yeah, take that plate off. We can use that table. Hey everyone, we interrupt this episode to talk about one of our favorite sponsors, All of My Pickle. If you're tired of boring pickles that taste like, well, nothing, it's time to upgrade your snack game. All of My Pickle makes the most delicious, gut-healthy, fermented pickles, krauts, and pickled veggies that you've ever had. They're crunchy, tangy, and packed with probiotics that actually taste amazing.
Whether you're throwing them on a sandwich, adding them to a salad, or snacking them straight from the pouch, these pickles hit different. Right now, All of My Pickle is offering listeners 10% off your first order with code OGSP at allofmypickle.com. Support a local business that makes food that actually loves your gut back.
That's 10% off on allofmypickle.com. Y'all go check them out. They're the best. We love you, All of My Pickle. Now back to the episode. Yeah, this is so interesting. I'm like, I've got so many questions just.
All right. Can you guys still like see and hear me?
Well, I need my
if I'm
microphone.
right
Yeah,
over here.
for sure. Yeah, you're good.
Cool. I don't want to like mess anything up here, like get in the way y'all shot. All right. Let's see. What do we want to do? I could
so
do something.
scared.
I could give you like a palm reading, or we could do like a mentalist
I've never had a
effect.
palm reading, so I would like for Hayden to get a palm reading first. Let's see what's in your head before we go into mine because
Lord have mercy.
I'll
we'll
tell
go
you-
mild
I'll tell
first.
you what we do, man. This will be kind of fun. Don't think about Michael Jackson or Bowie because we've been talking about him, all right? But without telling me who, can you think about a famous musician who's passed away? You got someone in mind?
Mm-hmm.
And I want it to be someone specifically who's passed away within the course of your lifetime.
Okay.
Someone who you think I would know, you think that Nick would know as well. And hopefully someone who's passing like actually affected you, right? Not just like, oh, okay, he's gone. You know, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do me a favor, man. Can you hold out your non-dominant hand, palm up for me? Okay. I'm going to put these in your hand, bud. Sorry, man. Let me come over here. What I'd like you to do is I would like you to take this marker,
Okay.
and I would like you to neatly print the name of that artist on that line. But don't let me see. I'm going to look this way. I'll look at your beautiful new studio here with this gorgeous orange. And
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
just-
going to be watching you, making sure you don't peek.
yeah, please. No, like try to burn me here. And because I'm not looking, I'll just wait for you to give me like a loud and clear yes
Yeah.
once you're finished.
I'm ready.
Cool. Recap the marker. I know you guys have a beautiful studio and white shirts. I don't want anything to get nasty.
Appreciate
And
that.
you can go ahead and put that somewhere else. It don't matter. And
Do I need to show the camera?
you can.
Yeah. Show the
I
camera.
don't want to see.
Nice. Okay.
Good.
Yep.
All right. If you want to blow on it, make sure the ink's dry. So these are just blank business cards from Office Depot over on 3rd Street. And if anyone watching or if any of your guests happen to represent that store or a similar store, I would love a sponsorship because, man, I run my entire show off office supplies, you know? So, all right. If you're quite sure I can't see and the ink is dry, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and put them all down on this table. and mix them up so even you don't know which one is which, and just leave them all spread out.
So should I like shuffle them?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Just make sure even you don't know which one is the one.
Yeah, you're good. Good job.
Should I have him do it? All right.
No, obviously not.
All right, go ahead and spread them all out. So all right. So if you've ever been to like a used record store, or if you've been to like an art gallery or museum, sometimes a thrift shop, I don't know if these are places where you hang out, but if you've been to places like this, I'm pretty sure that you've experienced this phenomenon where you'll encounter an object, and for some kind of unexplainable reason, you'll get the sensation that it's an object that was truly loved before it was given away, versus something that was just acquired as junk and then discarded, right? You know the feeling? This is a process called psychometry, and it's interpreting the emotional value or the resonance of like seemingly everyday objects. And, people can go into like tag sales or yard sales, something like that. And they pick up a bowl and they know this is a bowl that belonged to great Aunt Susie, and it was passed down for whatever, versus something that just came from IKEA.
Sure, yeah.
So my hope is that if we have 4 otherwise blank pieces of paper that are relatively worthless, they should feel like nothing. But if one of them is imbued with the significance of an artist you love and music that you recognize, and also the spirit of someone who's no longer with us, that it should have a tangibly different emotional resonance than the others. So interpreting this in a process of psychometry is something that is not done anymore, but it was done all throughout the 19th century, and there are very few living practitioners of it. Very few people are capable of doing it, and especially under pressure, and I do not know if I'm one of them. So we're gonna try this out. You've got like a piercing stare. It's a lot of pressure.
I'm worried. My heart's pounding.
You're good.
Do you make all your guests this uncomfortable, or just me?
Usually.
I'm not going to commit, but this feels like something here. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take 2 away. Now we have a saying, right? A penny for your thoughts, but a dime for your feelings. And what that means is that your subconscious, right? Your true feelings are always going to be more accurate than your immediate gut reaction to something, than your immediate like conscious thoughts towards something. Now, if you were to trust your intuition and you were to look at these, whether it was this one or this one, right? And you were to try to interpret the emotional value of those, what does your gut say? Which one? Don't turn it over, just point. You'd say it's this one? We won't touch it. Blank. Blank. Do me a favor, though. That ain't quite good enough. Can you put your hand over mine? And think about this artist. Can you hear the music in your head? It may be something that you would sing in karaoke. Mm-hmm. Yeah? So this is a man, and this is someone relatively recently who died. Thinking like Black Hole Sun. Is Chris Cornell?
It is.
Oh my God, man! Come on.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
What the fuck?
That is crazy.
What in the world?
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I knew. I had to think of something. And when we were saying it earlier, I was
because
like,
I thought when you did that was going to be such. I was like, I have no idea who this is. So I was like, he might not even know who this is. Do you know who that is?
what the fuck?
Yeah,
Who is that? Who's Chris Cornell?
Dead
Black Hole
Rockstar,
Sun.
bud. Black Hole Sun.
The fuck?
Audio
Soundgarden.
Slave.
Audio
That's
Slave.
crazy.
Sorry.
Could we do one more? Can we do one more?
Yeah, let's do
Is that okay?
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
do one.
Do more
I'll pick
stuff?
one. Yeah, I would love to
Yeah,
pick
here,
one.
let's do something different. Let's
Okay.
keep it rolling.
All right, cool.
I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm going to show you something. It was weird.
Okay.
Yeah?
I thought for sure you were going to go Mac Miller. I felt Mac Miller. I was like, this is Mac Miller for sure. Like, I don't know who else.
I
you'd pick
had
in
to
this
think of something
situation.
different.
I
but
know.
also,
I know.
like,
That's good.
not
Was that
me.
cool? Do you
Oh,
like
yeah,
that?
That was very impressive.
Yeah.
I was like, the energy in the room was Mac Miller. I was like, he's got to go Mac Miller. Like, obviously.
I was like, what?
I was like, the way
As
you're
soon as he said karaoke, I was like, oh God. Yep.
That's crazy, bro. That's really crazy.
So there's a couple different directions we can go, man. I can show you something similar, and we can do a little bit of a mind reading thing, or I can give you like a personal reading.
I would like to do that. I'd like to do mind reading for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. That was very impressive work.
Wow. That's my favorite reaction in the world. People are like, what the fuck? It's all right. Let's.
God, I didn't even know that was. I want to just write a random name down.
Let's try something a little funny. So I'm gonna tell you something. I don't do card tricks. And that might sound like kind of silly because you've literally seen me do card tricks, right? Yeah. But I don't really like sleight of hand. I'm not good at it. I don't have the coordination for it. And I honestly don't feel like it portrays, excuse me, I don't feel like it really gives off the vibe that I want to give. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want people thinking, if you do like a sleight of hand trick, people think all kinds of stuff. They can even think the wrong thing. But as soon as they have a method in mind for how they think you did it, even if they're hilariously wrong, you kind of lose that game, right?
True, yeah.
And I often feel that, like, the difference between what I do and like a magic show is a magician wants to say things like, look what I can do, and wants to show you what they can do. But what I want to do is create like a dialogue or a discourse. I want to say, I don't know what we can do if we work together, but I want to find out. And it's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
And that to me is always a little bit more powerful and a little bit more important.
I agree. I like
so
that.
let's, I don't know, I'm just kind of improvising here. I don't really know what you guys would want to see, but let's,
I like the trick that we did at Cool Culture. That was really...
where everyone had like the different cards and so forth.
Yeah.
If you want to,
I would like to do that. That was very impressive.
Why don't you just like make a little pinch like this and
watch.
And just grab a couple cards out the middle somewhere. Just, got them? Yeah, take them. All yours. Cool. Got them? Okay. You guys can take them. You can mix them up as much as you want.
Mix them up a little bit.
Okay, you got it, and you're confident it's not something that I've seen.
I mean, you've seen these cards before.
Well, yeah, I've seen all cards before. Yeah.
You've not seen these. Keep this thing held up. I know there's no mirror. I've already checked. Keep them up right there. Keep them up right there. I know.
Do me a favor and focus on the one that looks different to you. There should be maybe one that stands out. I'm sorry, I'm not focusing on the microphone here. I hope you guys can hear me.
Keep them upright. Keep them upright.
Okay.
Like that. I just want to make sure.
So there should be one that maybe stands out, whether it's a different color or you've got one that's like a face card versus, you know, like the number cards and so forth. And I think there might be one that does both. There's gonna be one that's a different color than the others, and it stands out just in terms of its value. And if you could just focus on that one for me, and look me in the eye real quick. You've got that one in mind. Now you're gonna want to say it and you're gonna want to give it away, but I want you to do everything you can to not say anything, okay? I'm going to ask you out loud what it is, and don't answer me, okay? I just want you to answer inside your head, okay? What is the card you're thinking of? Okay, did you answer inside your head? Okay, I'm going to ask again. Just answer inside your head again, okay? Don't answer this out loud. Tell me the card you're thinking of. At this time, I'm going to ask you in my head. Okay, I'm not going to say it out loud. And I want you to see if you can feel that, to see if you can experience that. And when you do, to answer in your own head as well. Okay, so you've got one in mind. Could you almost hear me asking you? And could you hear yourself answering that it's the Queen of Clubs? That it's the...
What the fuck is this? That's crazy. Don't show them all of them. Don't show them all of them. Don't show them all of them.
What the fuck is this?
And that's the one you're thinking of? It was the Queen of Clubs? Okay. So you've got two others in there as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So something that I already know now is because you confirmed earlier that there was one that was different than the others. It was a different color and it's a different type of value. I'm going to assume that the other two are going to be numbers, and I'm also going to assume that they're red. I still think that they're going to be different from each other, right? Now, you're giving away a lot by the way that you smile and the way that it makes you a little bit nervous here.
Yeah, you're not very good at this.
A little poker face, you know. All right. Just draw something in the air real quick. Yeah. 3 of diamonds. Is that one of them?
It is.
Okay. The last one's always hard. This is rough. I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with the 9 of hearts. No, wait. I'm close though, right? Kind of makes you mad that it's so close. I'm thinking about food. Oh, 8. Is the 8 of hearts?
It is.
Is that what we got?
It is.
Okay.
It is the 8 of hearts.
If you guys think that this is something
Show
like,
the camera. And let me do it. Like, the next trick, no, you show the camera, but I'm saying next trick, I'm doing it. You're too much of a, like...
I know.
You're sitting there every time he says...
I can't...
If he gets relatively closer, you're like...
I'm like, what? I'm just shook from the first one. Like, that's crazy.
Let's give Hayden a break. It's
why don't you guys shuffle these up and just make sure that there's nothing weird going on?
That was crazy. Like, the way he's like... He said... I can't shuffle here.
I'm going to invite you guys to keep these cards forever so you can examine them, make sure there's nothing weird. I literally buy all my cards bulk at like Costco or on Amazon. They're just bicycle
you do
cards.
this.
I don't know how to do it either.
Yeah, I'm so bad.
It's actually better if you don't know how to do it because that's going to mean it's a real shuffle. There's nothing I could predict about it.
Here, I'm going to do one of these.
We don't play cards.
I'm going to do one of these. Here.
Hell yeah.
That's good, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, man.
Okay.
There's no way I could know about the
There we
order of
go.
those cards.
Perfect.
And I tell you what, we're going to make it a little bit weirder too.
Okay.
I'm just going to go through and you can make sure that my hands are doing exactly what they say they're doing. You can watch me. But Nick, I want you to, when you feel like you want me to stop, and it can be as fair as possible, you just, you can see I'm not even taking them one at a time, doing 2 and 3 at a time. You just tell me to stop whenever you want.
Okay. We'll give it a minute. I want something towards the end. All right, let's stop.
Okay. Remember this card. You got the card? If you forget, this is going to be a bad trick. You can go ahead and mix them up.
Remember what it was? Okay.
You can mix them up a little more if you want to, okay? Just make sure it's not something that I can find. This is not something that relies on physical dexterity or anything special with like the physical world of cards. This is going to be about you and me, okay?
Okay.
So I tell you what, go ahead and give them a little mix if you want to. And as you do, can you think about, and as you're thinking about this card, right? You know what it is? As you're thinking about this card, I want you to remember something for me. I want you to picture like a really good or a really positive memory in your life.
Okay.
This could be something like you ate a really nice piece of cake. This could be, you know, you met a girl, you found $20 on the ground, you got to sleep till 2 p.m. one day and no one was mad at you. You didn't have to pay a speeding ticket, whatever it was, right? And I want you to think about some kind of a positive memory.
Okay.
Okay? You've got a memory?
God. Yeah, I got one.
Okay. It shouldn't be that hard to think of a positive memory, right? Like that's awful.
No, true,
that's
true.
a whole different podcast.
True, that's fact.
All right. So do me a favor. Tell me about this memory. Describe it for me.
So this is probably like a year. Describe it out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. It's probably like a year ago. Me and Joey showed up to my house. We went surfing. We surfed all day. And then I'm just like thinking about like us being in the water and the waves firing and just like having a good time. We got out of the water, ate a sub or something, then immediately just like went back out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's like where I'm at. Yeah.
Beautiful day out surfing and eating some food. And
yeah. I was just thinking about like us just being in the water and like us just being like stupid, you know?
Honestly, that's really cool,
Yeah.
man. That's really cool. So when I was first learning how to read cards, I stay away from a lot of like major tarot decks because I don't like the associations of a lot of the cards and the occult symbolism. And I think that sometimes these darker images prohibit people from connecting emotionally with the value of these things. So instead, I like to associate the cards with some of my own personal life experiences, right? Like, so for example, like the 3 of Hearts for me always reminds me of this time in Greenwich Village where I met this girl right before she moved away. And we only got to spend about a week or 2 together before she moved away forever. But it was like this, you know, crazy fantasy vacation in my own city. It was really cool.
Yeah.
That card always reminds me of that. And the 9 of Clubs is actually the loneliest card in the deck, you know? I think it was at Carnegie Mellon Research Institute. They decided to ask their grad students to go out and do research where they would interview people as part of this project, where they would say, hey, name a card. anything you want. Just name any card. And they were supposed to get thousands of samples. So they would collect 1 million samples, over the course of, some certain number of years. They would collect 1 million samples of what cards people named if they were asked to name a random card. And overwhelmingly people named like the Queen of Hearts, the Queen of Diamonds, Ace of Spades, things like this, 7 of whatever.
Yeah.
But the least named card in the deck was the 9 of Clubs. Overwhelmingly the least named card. And I thought that was kind of cool that it was the loneliest one. And, I won't share what that memory is, but like I've got some personal associations with card like this. 4 of Diamonds here. When I look at this, I think about when I was back in New York and I was working at the Washington Square Hotel, and I was making good money, and it was a good time in my life. I was young, I was stable, and 4s represent like a certain stability and like material possessions. But it's funny, you mentioned when I first moved down to Florida, I ain't from here, right?
Yeah.
It was something that was really important to me, as I wanted to go out in the ocean and learn how to, wasn't learning how to surf, I was learning how to swim, as I never grew up learning how to swim.
Yeah.
I had signed up for my first triathlon, and I was learning how to swim in the ocean, and I remember I had this beautiful day outside, splashing around in the water. I had a friend who was helping me. We had a great time, and we didn't get subs after, we got ramen, but it was this beautiful day.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun, and we ate some food, and it was stupid, and it was summer, and even though I was in my late 30s, I felt young as hell. And do me a favor, close your eyes real quick. I'm going to pull out the card that reminds me of that day. And you can open your eyes now. I just didn't want you to see what I took. Can you tell me the card that you were thinking of when you told me about that memory?
Do you want me to say it out loud?
Yeah, say it out loud.
King of Diamonds?
I was close, though.
Was it the King of Hearts or was it
King of Hearts?
Oh, King of Hearts then. Okay, I knew it was one. I literally forgot about it.
I watched him pull it too, and I'm like, what the frick is that?
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's insane.
Oh, my gosh.
That is, there's no explanation.
No.
So look, man, when you look at a deck of cards, there are 52 of them, right? There are 52 cards in the deck, and there are 52 weeks in the year. There are 4 suits, and there are 4 seasons. Okay, there are 3 court cards within each suit, the Jack, Queen, and King. So there are 12 court cards in the entire deck. There are 12 months in the year. Within each suit, there are 13 values. That's Ace all the way through King. There are 13 lunar cycles. Okay, and the deck is divided neatly into red and black. And that's not night and day, but it's the first half of the year where we gain daylight and the second half of the year where we lose it. If you take the values of each card, where an Ace is 1, and you go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then Jack being 11, Queen 12, King 13, you add them all together through the whole deck, you get 364. If you add one joker, you get 365 for a full year. Second joker gives you leap year, 366.
Wow.
The oldest book known to antiquity was disguised as a deck of cards to be smuggled out of the Library of Alexandria. It was an ancient book of astrological agriculture. It was a calendar. And it was about the seasons of the year and when to plant things and how the moon and the stars would align in order for us to take things out of the earth. And before the Library of Alexandria burned to the ground, they disassembled that book and snuck it out to kind of look like a game. So when we're thinking about using cards and mind reading and mentalism, you see, I'm not here doing tricky shuffles. I'm not asking you to pick a card, any card, put it back. Is this it in your wallet? It ain't like that. I'm trying to connect with you as a human being because I can't think of any way to get to know you better than with an ancient and secret calendar that can be arranged more ways than there are atoms in the observable universe and can fit neatly inside a pocket.
That's crazy. That's very impressive.
Wow.
That's cool. I want to see another one. Do you want to see another one? Okay, can I use the restroom real quick?
Yeah.
Does anyone need a refill on beverage?
Yeah.
You need another beer or anything?
Yeah, I'll do one more.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
All right, y'all, quick thing. If you run a business, your customers should never be hitting voicemail. But you know who doesn't miss phone calls? VersaLaunch. And it's not meant to replace anyone. You miss a call, you're slammed, whatever, they're there to have you back. It'll answer every missed call, talk to the customer, take orders, handle bookings, reservations, all that.
And it's not just AI. Versa will provide you with a full setup, a website, a phone line, and an app to run literally everything. We are actually messing with it, and it sounds like a real person. It's kind of crazy. It's $300 a month, and it's 25% off every month this year with code OGSP. So yeah, if people are calling your business and hitting voicemail, you're just losing customers. VersaLaunch. Please go check it out.
That's versalaunch.com. Promo code OGSP will get you guys 25% off every month for the rest of 2026. Shout out to VersaLaunch for sponsoring this episode. Let's get back into it.
Let's go.
What up, y'all? We're back. You good?
Alrighty.
My mind is still blown. We're still trying to process everything that's happened. How are you, Alex?
I'm doing great, man. I'm having a good time.
Cool. So, We got drinks. We're rocking and rolling. Do you guys want to do one more trick and then
do it.
And then just wrap this thing out? We go with a banger. You want to?
Try some weird shit?
Yeah, let's do it for sure.
This might be a little bit more personal. You okay with that?
Okay, yeah. Oh, God. I want to do hateds, but yeah, we'll do it.
All right. Put up your hand with mine real quick if you don't mind. All right, and push it against. Okay. I want you to clear your mind. I want you to really relax, and I want you to focus on everything that you're feeling. And you can watch here. You can check it out. I'm just going to squeeze our fingers together right here, okay?
He closes his eyes.
I thought he said close his eyes. I'm stupid.
And when I stop pinching, focus on your fingertip. Can you almost feel your pulse there?
Yeah.
You can feel like a little bit of a heartbeat?
Yeah.
Can you feel it there too?
Yeah.
Just focus and relax. You can feel it there on your pinky?
Yeah.
Just imagine for a second. Can you feel it in your ring finger where we never touched?
Yeah.
Feel it right here?
Yeah.
So this is just a suggestion of feeling. It's actually like a psychological grounding mechanism to get people to tune into things, but you can start to make them feel phantom things. I'd like to look at your palm and give you a reading real quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
Before we do, I want to show you something. These are antique. Okay, so please be careful.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In the 1920s, Duke University founded the Duke University Center for Parapsychological Research. It was founded by a guy named Dr. Joseph Rhine. And they were backed by Project Alpha and the U.S. government. And the U.S. Department of Defense was looking into qualitative proof for the existence of extrasensory perception so they could use it in the military, so they could weaponize it.
Yeah.
Right? And they wanted to look at the ability to recognize ideas and images beyond just statistical random chance. So if I had, for example, a bunch of photographs and I show you one of an old woman and one of a dog and one of a chain link fence, and I know that you hate old women and you love dogs, right? I could maybe see from your pupil dilation. I could see from your body language. But what they did is they created this group of symbols. There's a circle and a square. There's a plus, a star, wavy lines, and they mean relatively nothing. And what they're supposed to do is create a deficit of meaning, right, onto which we project our own associations. They can't be confused with each other. They're completely non-ambiguous, right?
Yeah.
But each one is unique. So there are 5 different symbols. And they would use this to test for the existence of ESP. And I want to show you kind of just how hard it would be. What symbol do you think this would be, if you had to guess?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's it.
Should I guess one? Should I try to guess one? Or
yeah,
I mean, it's
I lay out
there? Yeah,
all the
see, I didn't see
so
the
you
wavy
can-
ones. I was like,
Square. Okay, so these are the 5 symbols. We got a circle, wavy lines, a square, a star, and a plus.
Okay.
Now, this isn't a trick. I just think that this is a really cool piece of history, okay? Now, if I were to hold one up, and I'm looking at it, you're attempting to see through my eyes, use your ESP. What symbol do you think this is?
Square.
What about you?
plus.
Star. Okay, let's try another.
Square.
Wavy.
Square. Okay, so got one. Put that over in the good column.
I'll go wavy with you. If you want to go wavy.
I go wavy.
You're both going wavy. Oh, we got a plus this time. It's
Okay.
okay. Look, it ain't a trick. These are actually antique. So these don't go all the way back to the 1920s, but these are actual Zener testing cards that were used in the experiments to test for ESP at Duke University. And this is from one of the last printings that they did, and this is from either the late 70s or the early 80s. I got them in an estate sale. And
wow.
to me, they represent like a really cool piece of like psychic history.
Yeah.
Something that's like really, really weird and unique that you just can't find anywhere else. So what I'd like you to do, man, is here, you take them, choose whatever one speaks to you, and you put one down, and then you do the same, okay? And you won't even know, don't even look at each other's, all right? You won't even know if you picked the same one or not.
Okay. So don't
Just pick one out.
Yeah, just you could look through, choose whatever one speaks
and then put
to
it
you.
face down.
Yeah, and then put it down here, and we will we'll try to do something a little unusual. Got one? Okay. And you can put the rest of them over in this little Louis Vuitton wallet. You can keep them over there so you don't think I'm doing anything too funny. All right, man. Show me your hands. So some people, when they come up and they got their hands like this, right? They're like really timid. They're scared. Some people are like like this. They're like, yeah, show me. Like I want all the secrets of the universe. Like give it to me here, right? So look. Oh yeah, you got a lot of cool shit going on, man. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, right.
So
let's
look,
go.
I do take most insurance. It's a small copay. All right, so you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay, I've never done this with a microphone in my face, so you'll excuse me if it's
Yeah, you can scoot it over a little bit if you need here.
Okay, cool. Well, that.
Just so it's not up all on our side.
So this is your dominant hand?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look at tarot cards and you look at the major arcana, the 18th arcanum is called the moon, and it's got a dog and a wolf, and they're howling at the light of the moon. And the dog represents our domesticated interior, right? Like the side of ourselves that grows up in society and learns lessons. It has emotional intelligence. There's consequences for actions. There's empathy. There's all the rules of society that you learn and how you act in it. And this is represented with your right hand. And then your left hand, your subconscious, this is the wolf. This is who you would be if you grew up in a vacuum. This is who you would be if you were playing Grand Theft Auto, right? It's just, it's desire and the fulfillment of those desires without any regard for how the world reacts to it. With that being said, you have a choice to make. Which hand would you like me to read?
What do you think?
I can't answer that, man. It's your show.
Well, let's do my right hand.
Okay, let's do it. Put the other way. Relax.
Okay.
And look, man, I am going to touch your hand. I don't want you feeling comfortable. You okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. So first of all, So you have a hand that represents the element of earth, right? And I have very earthen hands too, right? It's going to be like more of like a square palm with fingers that are like relatively proportionate to the size of the hand here. Now, the first thing I like to look at is going to be the angle of the thumb, and you got one kind of like mine. Right? Let me see yours. Can you hold your hands out? See how yours kind of come in a little bit more? It's a little bit like, tighter in. So when people have their thumbs, now, if someone has their thumb like super tight in, and these are people who are going to be, they're a little bit cheap. They're a little bit stingy. They don't want you to like touch their stuff. The interior of their car is like super neat.
Oh, I'm surprised yours is that far out.
So when it's out like this, I mean, it don't necessarily mean that you're, like loose with money or nothing like that. But what it can mean is that you understand the value of a dollar, but you're not afraid to spend money when you have it. You understand what you work for. Now, for example, man, you see I drive a Jeep. You know what I mean? Like, and when I was back in New York, I had a Blackguard Telecaster. It was from 1968. It was super beautiful. And people would be mad at me that I played in gigs, and it should be like, behind glass, something like that. But I didn't want my belongings to be these things that were coveted and put away and hidden. If I had it, I wanted to use it. Just like my vehicle. Like I want a vehicle that I can, beat the hell out of and drive through the dirt, and that gives it more character, not less, right? Like that has more value. So I feel you being similar to me in that regard. I think that you want to get the most value that you can from the physical things in your life, the possessions of yours. And I think that because of that, I think that you've probably gotten pretty good at maintaining those things. You're not quick to just throw something away and get a new one. I think that you learn how to get the most out of an object before you before you move on and wind up getting a new one.
Yeah.
And when you look here at this this fleshy bit in the base of the palm, and you can push on your own there, right? So you see how yours kind of bounces back? So this is kind of an emotional elasticity. So this is called the Mound of Venus. And the Mound of Venus represents our social aptitude and our emotional resilience. And when yours is bouncy like that, you can see I can push as hard as I want. And when I pull away, it doesn't leave the indentation. And some people it does. And I didn't see if yours does or not, but a little bit, yeah. And like when it leaves an indentation, these are typically people who can, hold a grudge. You can definitely take things personally. Someone says something, it sticks with you, but also praise as well. Someone who you respect might give you a compliment. And you can kick that can down the road for years and like feel good about that. That can carry you towards like so much success. And, the opinions of people who you respect, like it's like emotional currency, and you can spend it how you want if you're smart about it. But when you have this kind of elasticity, I think that the value of your work is something that you understand on the inside, and it doesn't come from the outside. Someone could come up to you and say like, hey man, like, you suck. And it's not really going to hurt your feelings. You'd be like, cool, like whatever. But like also someone could come up to you and say, hey, you're great. And you might be happy that they think so. And you might even believe them, but you don't need them to say it, right? And I think that sometimes, I think sometimes people might even give you a compliment and say that you've done a good job. And you might have this internal dialogue where you say something like, not to them, but just to yourself. You might think like, yeah, I did do a good job, but you're actually not qualified to understand how good of a job that I did. You don't understand the prerequisite work that went into building this. You just see it from the outside. So yeah, thanks for the compliment. But like you don't even know, right? And when you have like a mound of Venus that has this kind of a roundness to it, and it's got this fleshiness, this represents like an enormous social aptitude and ability to like be out there and be present with people. But you can see that yours, kind of dies out, it flattens out before it reaches your lifeline. And because of that, I'm willing to say that for you, like a social aptitude is very strong, and you've got a great one. And that's not just because I know you and I've seen you at parties. I know that you can be the life of a party. But I think that personally, you're probably a little happier when the party's over and it's time to recharge at home. I think that you get a lot of your personal, like emotional batteries recharged from like solitary pursuits, right? Now we're going to look here at this is cool. This is also really unique. You can look at your own as well. So this side of the palm is called the plane of Mars negative, and this side is called the mound of Mars positive. And you have this line, and on yours you can see it goes from Mars positive and extends across the plane of the moon and comes to rest between the mounds of Jupiter and the mound of Saturn. And this is your heart line.
That's crazy.
It's
I
incredibly
didn't even think
different.
about that. Yeah.
So yours almost bisects the palm, right? And yours has this nice arc, and that's probably a bit more common. Now, most people's, like if you're doing, if you're looking at like a ton of palms, and I've looked at hundreds, the common trend is that it's going to arc nicely from Mars negative across the plane of the moon and come to rest between these two mounds. The one under the pointer fingers, the mound of Jupiter, and this is the masculine conscious mind. This is turning ideas and thoughts into manifested physical properties and energy, like turning things into reality. Then the mound of Saturn, which is feminine energy, and this is the subconscious and secrets and ancestral desire. Yours kind of bypasses all that and goes straight across. Now this is the heart line, right? And the heart line, it's not just boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. These are the people who you keep close to you. These are family. These are close friends. Whoever passes the test that says you're allowed to be kind of in the inner circle, I think you have an ability to portray like a ton of openness. But this heart line kind of creates this barrier. It's long, it's deep, it's a really fucking big one, man. I've seen one other person before who has it do that, and that's actually the host of Florida First Coast Living, Jordan Wilkerson.
Oh, damn.
And I gave her a palm reading on live TV, and she had the same thing.
I bet she's cool as fuck.
And she's really cool, man. She's really
sick.
cool. I love being on that show. So that line, man, when you do love, you love with your whole heart. And I think sometimes you can probably go in really hard and really fast, and you can give a lot of yourself to the people who you care about. But the way that it bisects the palm, the way that your line of destiny doesn't encounter it, the way that it kind of doesn't interact at all with your headline or your lifeline here, I think that what this means is that your standard for who you lit onto the other side is really high. Like you can really love with your whole heart, but those people got to deserve it. And what you expect from people in order to receive that love is not a negotiation. That's not something that you're really willing to like compromise on, is it? Right? And because of that, typically people who have a line that way, you're probably no stranger to disappointment, and I think there's probably going to be a lot of people in your past who you wish could be with you here in the future, but they don't meet those qualifications. And it's not because they're bad people. A lot of times people have the best of intentions, but they don't have the qualities like the emotional maturity or the understanding to really qualify for, all of that abundant love and openness that you offer. It can sometimes be a bit lonely, right?
Yeah.
I don't like to talk about the lifeline for two reasons. One is if it's real short, I don't want you to think you're going to die. The other reason is if it's real long, I don't want you to think everything's going to be okay, and then like maybe you don't get that thing checked out. You know what I mean? Like,
True, yeah.
So I don't like to give anybody like any real health or financial advice unless you pay me privately and we meet somewhere else, but I ain't going to do it on the podcast. But what I do like to look at is how it interacts with the headline. And you can look at your headline right here, man. Your headline, it goes from Mars positive, it goes across the plane to the moon, and typically it'll arc and go down the palm. And yours kind of stops and it breaks, and then it kind of continues in a different tangent. Look at yours, man. Yours is long and it's very, very clear. And it intersects very nicely with your headline right here, okay? So when you have a really, really long headline like this, what this typically means is that you've got a great imagination and a great ability to like visualize things that aren't necessarily in front of you. So if I say, you know, visualize this certain puzzle, or like in a picture an apple, something like that, you can see it in full color. You can rotate it like inside your head. You can have all these great ideas. The drawback, and I have the same kind of line, the drawback to a headline like that is that sometimes it's easy to get caught up in fairy stories. Sometimes it's really easy to get caught up in a great idea, and then you go out and you tell all your friends about it, you know what I mean? And then by the time you're done telling everybody, you've spent all of your emotional currency on it, and you don't have any left to actually follow through with the idea, right? Now, I want to be clear about something. This doesn't mean that this is what you're doing or what you have to do, right? You've probably heard in the past that, like, you know, people with like really long fingers, oh, you'd make a really good guitar player, you know, something like that, or, you know, like musical or artistic. And that's not magic, right? If you take kids and they've got really long articulate fingers, they have a better time manipulating physical properties in the world around them. So when they pick up something like an instrument or a paintbrush or clay or blocks, they're going to have greater initial success. And that success is going to reinforce something, and they're going to find happiness, and they can keep doing it, and they wind up becoming artists, right? Now, does that mean if you have short, stubby fingers that you can't be an artist? No, right? But it does mean that if you encounter those difficulties early on, because it's harder to do these things, that you recognize a value in it that's worth overcoming those difficulties, sure. Right? So, you know, when I look at your headline here and I say that this means that you have an enormous capacity for imagination, but sometimes you can get caught up in like the idea of it, that doesn't mean you're not going to actually apply the hard work. It just means it's a quality in yourself that you have to observe if you want those ideas to be successful. Now, if you look at Nick's, like, it is long, but it kind of breaks apart. And I feel that you're more inclined to believe in the things that you can hold in your hand, the things that you can hit with a hammer. Like a story or an idea is really great, but if someone's not actually presenting you with like the data or tools to do it, then like it's kind of wasting your time if people come to you with these things. You want someone to like have a plan. Like a good idea is great, imagination's fun, but it's the first step. And the rest of the steps in that journey are kind of taken by hard work, right? Yeah. Now, when I see this break here, especially with no line of destiny, which is like really unique. Yeah. I see that.
I don't even have this.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
The line of destiny kind of goes up from the bracelet to the palm. The bracelet to the wrist, and it's going to go straight up here. And I'm going to talk about what that means in yours. So I'm going to say something about your headline and your line of destiny here. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not trying to project nothing. I'm willing to bet, man, that your intuition is probably a lot better than most people's critical thinking. And I think that a lot of times you are able to come up with a clear and actionable answer before most people are even aware that there's a question being asked. But because of that, and the way that it interacts with your lifeline and the way that it parallels with your heart line, I think that sometimes having that intuition can be a little bit alienating, right? Like sometimes when you have the answers and you know what's best and other people don't even understand there's a question to ask, coming with that information can sometimes seem pretentious or bossy, and people don't always want to hear that. It's not the best way to make friends if you go around telling everybody what to do, right? So a lot of times people who feel that way, you know how to write a good Superman story, right? It's not throw a good bad guy at him because he can just, you know, beat the piss out of whatever bad guy you throw. It's about Superman letting humanity fight their own battles and lose, and understanding his place in the world because he's an alien. And similarly, I think that you might have good intuition here, but you've learned to kind of take a back seat and hold it back. You're not out there giving your opinions on everything unless people actually come to you and ask. And because of that, I think it means that a lot of times you watch people you care about try things and fail, or try things and get frustrated when you know that you could step in and help. But still, I think that you kind of keep a back seat and wait to be asked for that help. Now, you don't have a line of destiny here, ma'am, and that's kind of cool. Right? Some people have like a really clear one, and it doesn't mean you have to follow it, but it means that there's a track in that life. you learn a vocation, you stick with the family, you marry a high school sweetheart, you got 2.5 kids, Honda Odyssey minivan, you use a local sports team as a surrogate for identity, and you kick that can down the road a couple decades and you die, and like that's it. When you don't have a line of destiny like this, your life could probably be whatever you want it to be. But it comes with this price that most people will never experience, and it's that despite how you might appear on the outside, despite how other people may see you or the visage that you project, I think there's a big part of you that sits around and spends a lot of time thinking about how different your life would be if you'd made different choices. A lot of people don't have these choices available to them, so it doesn't bother them. But you're quite literally haunted by the ghosts of all the different Nick Ushers that could have been, who never really got to have a chance to exist, because every time you make a choice, you go off one way, and then all the other ones of you have to exist in some metaphysical plane, never to really be there, right? And it gets kind of heavy carrying that around, and it's a good thing, not a bad thing. The thing is, like, we value a certain continuity of our spiritual existence, right? We want to continue to exist and be ourselves. So you can give good advice, but it's hard to take it, right? Yeah. So say you're doing a bunch of dumb stuff, and you're like really messing up your life, and you're doing all this like fuck shit, and you're like, well, I need to stop doing all this bad stuff. Okay, but then there's a part of you inside who thinks, well, if I stop doing that stuff and I make different choices, then I'll stop existing, and this new better me will kind of take my place. So there's this inner voice or your conscious mind saying, like, I'm not ready yet. I don't want to go. I need a little more time. Give me one more day. Give me one more week. Just one more cigarette, before I quit. One more cheat meal before I start that diet. All right, I'll get on track tomorrow, but tonight I'm gonna, watch Stranger Things, or like whatever it is, right? And it's really easy to get caught in that. But the truth is, it's just a trick of how the conscious mind processes time. Indecision is still a decision. Choosing not to decide is just a different type of decision making, but you're lacking agency, right? You're always going to be you. You're not sacrificing that based on, the choices that you're making. So if you want to really move on forward and faster towards your goals than you ever thought possible, sometimes it's nice to borrow the beliefs and techniques of funerals and wakes and apply those to your own goals and your own life. And I don't mean that in a morbid way, but if you look at your life, there's probably I'm definitely willing to bet there's a juncture where you can see how a different choice would have landed you in a very different place.
Oh, sure.
And if you think about that time in your life, I bet there's different artifacts, like whether it's, the concert tickets you keep in a shoebox under the bed, or a certain jersey or sweater that you used to wear, or music that you liked at that time, or, back in that day I only drank hazy IPAs, or, whatever it is, or show, cologne, whatever it happens to be. There's going to be sensory artifacts that remind you of this crossroads when you took a different path. And I think the best thing to do is to kind of collect those artifacts, doom scroll Instagram, spray that cologne, pour the IPA, whatever it happens to be, and saturate yourself in the mementos of that juncture, and give yourself this one last night to kind of soak in it and say farewell and goodbye, to this you that never got to exist. And you're going to move farther and faster towards your goals than you ever thought possible. Now, I'm going to say one last thing, because we all kind of have something going on here that's pretty unique. So right here, your lifeline and your headline, yours join really, really far back. And yours join too, you can see right here. Not everybody's joins. A lot of people have a gap. And if anyone at home is watching this or listening to this, I encourage you to look at your own, like right under your pointer finger, between your pointer finger and your thumb, the junction of these two llines, some people are going to have a gap. Sometimes it's as large as a 1/4 inch. Mm-hmm. And the larger that gap, the more home is just wherever you hang your hat. If, your family is who you choose to keep around. It can be anyone. You can move to Fiji tomorrow and you can make new friends. You can fit in with the locals. You can build a life, and that can really be where you identify with, right? Now, when it pinches there, when it comes together, and yours is like mine, it kind of pinches together right at Mars positive, right under the hand. But Nick, yours pinches really far back. The further that pinches, the more that, family is a very certain biological people. The more home is a very specific geographic place, right? It's not subjective. It doesn't mean that you have to like those people or love those people or send Christmas cards. It doesn't mean that you have to stay in that place or go back there. You can go anywhere you want to, but you're never going to forget your roots or where you're from. And perfect example, like, I've been here 7 years, man. I'm never going back to New York, right?
Yeah.
But no matter how long I stay here, I'm not going to be a Floridian. I'm not going to be a guy from Jacksonville. I'm never going to look at you and say Duval and like have that be anything other than ironic. I'm always going to be the weird guy from New York who moved down here, and that's going to be who I am. So when that pinches, we can really see like a very clear sense of home. Now, before we move on to the next bit, do you guys have any questions about it or any comments? Like, how accurate do you think this was?
He's very accurate.
Yeah,
For you, for sure, a lot of things you were saying was and he was very accurate with me as well.
Yeah, and like, I don't know if that has anything to do, but like, there's times like where you ever listen to a song and then it gives you the chills? Like, I got the chills over my head like a couple times where I'm just like, what the fuck did he do?
Oh, I love it, man.
I literally just nailed.
Yeah,
like,
you're very accurate for sure.
What?
Excellent.
Crazy.
That was good.
You guys can feel free to relax. I feel like I've gotten to know you each a little bit better in a way that I probably couldn't have gotten to know you just through conversation. And because of that, I wanted to do one last thing, and I'll write this on my business card here. I had you guys select from the Antique Center cards here earlier. I'm going to take a little bit of a risk. This is what I think you guys picked. Can you turn over your ESP cards for me here? Oh, I didn't come close. I actually got it exactly.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I forgot mine, and then I was like, oh yeah, I remember now. So I'm like, maybe it's easily.
I thought about that as he was doing the poem. I was like, oh yeah, we did pick cards. I wonder if that's that's very impressive.
I like to find a way
job.
to get to know people a little bit better, and I think that's a really nice way. And it also
How did you know that we
incorporates a
picked
little
those
bit of
cards?
history. I'm trying to think about what Sorry,
You're
I
good.
lost the mic here.
You're good.
I try to think about what it is that I would pick in your shoes after I've gotten to know you, right? And I think that the star is a little bit obvious for some people, and I think the people who are super ostentatious tend to pick the star because it's the easiest one to visualize like a context with.
Yeah.
And those people, man, I could teach you how to read palms and you'd know who picked the star in like 5 minutes of learning. You know what I mean? Like that's a little bit of an easy one. The plus is weird. Not a lot of people pick the plus. I think that's probably the least commonly picked one. I think people pick the plus specifically when they're trying to be difficult. I think they pick that one when they think they're trying to fool me, or they think they're trying to, be clever.
Yeah.
And you guys don't seem like you're trying to disrupt anything. The first one I actually thought for you was the circle. I did. I thought the circle. But as we were like going on in the reading, and I felt like I was getting to know you guys a little bit better, I don't know. I trusted my gut. I tried to go with intuition. And if you go to my show, right, if you watch me perform on stage, it gets really weird. And I'll tell you, some of what I do is psychology, and some of it is hypnosis, which is absolutely real. Some of it is taking bold chances, and some of it's just lying.
True, yeah.
Same. But a lot of it has to do with intuition. And I said earlier in your show that I want 20% of the show to fail, and I push for that failure. And as long as I keep succeeding, I keep taking chances until I do hit the failure. But after like a few hundred shows, like as you're doing this for like audiences of like 40, 50, 90, 150, 200 people, and you're doing these chances, you start to develop this kind of pattern recognition that exists independently of language or understanding, where I'm on stage and I'm taking chances with people, and they are just guesses. They really are. There's no trick. There's nothing. And I do it until I fail. But the more I've been doing the show, the more time goes on, the longer it's taking me to hit that failure point. I'm hitting more and more successes. I'm hitting more and more accuracies. Like at my Blue Jay show 2 nights ago, I accurately described this woman. I'd never met her before, and I asked her to visualize some event from her past. And I was able to like give a completely accurate description of like the inside of her living room and how she spilled wine on a white carpet and how she blamed a friend for that spill and the whole thing. And this is with nothing written down. Like
that's
she's
crazy.
On stage with me in front of a room full of people. And after she pulled me aside and she's like, how did you know those things? I was like, if I'm being honest, like I didn't, but I just get so much more comfortable taking these chances with people as time goes on. I don't know if it's just I'm the luckiest guy in the world, or if I'm developing some kind of an intuition or what it is, but You're like anything else, man. You do it long enough and you start getting
For
better.
sure. Yeah. Practice makes perfect, dude. That was really impressive. Let's plug these people in. Do you have anything else, Hayden?
I was gonna ask, like, because I've firsthand experienced like paranormal like stuff just that happened. Like, is somebody like you like getting like just weird feelings or like energies? Because it's something that I literally, when I was a kid, I went to New York, Cooperstown actually. It's funny that you said you're from New York. And
Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there was of course a grand piano at this giant house that my parents had like, you know, got for a group of us, and it started going off in the middle of the night, and we were always just like freaked out about it. Like, I guess my question would be like, do you feel like larger energies when you meet certain people, or like
sometimes I do
when you're in places like that? Because I would have, my friend said that, okay, I got sick, I got this, and I'm like, I just like heard the piano, thought it was weird, cool, but then I feel like everybody's got different reactions. Like somebody like yourself, I guess I'm curious if you feel people's over energy or stuff like that whenever you meet them.
When I put my hand against yours earlier and I asked you to feel the pulse jumping just by looking at the fingertips once you'd felt it once, I mean, the truth is there's always going to be a little bit of a sensation there. And if you start focusing on a part of your body, you know, you can start feeling something. And the more that you practice being in tune with that type of feeling, the more sensitive you're going to be to those things in the future, right? And it's the same with these energies around you. I mean, you know, if you're walking down the street, when you like walk into like maybe a bit of a sketchy neighborhood, even if nothing changes architecturally, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you get that feeling. Or if you're in the woods and all of a sudden it gets really quiet, you know, because all the prey animals leave because like maybe there's a predator coming or a storm coming, you get these kind of premonitions and senses. And as you become more attuned to understanding like the language of these feelings, the more you're able to construct more complex thoughts regarding them. My family, especially on my mother's side, was very, very deeply in tune with this and believes in so many like really spooky things. And I grew up with that, but I also grew up rejecting it. You know, I valued pragmatism. I was like, this can't be real. This can't be real. And I put off a lot of the awareness of those feelings until it kind of became too much to ignore, you know? That being said, there is no greater effect or trick than I could ever do than what you're going to do for yourself and your imagination if you actually believe in something. So when I get a group of people together, and if we're doing like a table seance, you know, I'm not doing any magic tricks. There's no sneaky box or guy hidden behind a curtain. But if the lights are low and we light a candle and I tell a good enough story, as an adult with an imagination, you're going to create the ghosts for yourself. You're going to create the scariness or the spookiness or the terror for yourself, or whatever it happens to be. And you can see the same thing if you go to the movies. You know, you can hear the same thing like in music, right? If you're not ready to hear a certain message, you can hear something that's like really intelligent or really sentimental and be like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, because you're not ready to hear it. But if you're in the right mindset and you're receptive, it doesn't take much. You know, someone can just say one or two words and it gives you those shivers, it gives you those chills. And, you know, coming to experiences with those associations and being aware of them is more psychic intuition than you'll ever learn from like books or going to Casa Dega or, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah. Dude, that was incredible. Seriously.
Was
thank
awesome.
you so much for showing us everything. And
it's my pleasure.
And thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, dude, it's a pleasure. And hopefully keep running into you all across town. I feel like I've seen you like once a week since I met you. So
it's true, man.
Let's go ahead and plug the people in. I know you're on social media. Yep. Where can they go see your next show? Everything.
I'm the easiest person in the world to find online. My name is Alex Trendler. I pretty much live on Instagram. I got a website, and I am all over the beaches lately. I'm at Blue Jay Listening Room every other month. That's in Jack's Beach, and it's one of my favorite venues to perform. It's incredible. It's typically a music venue. I think I'm the only resident artist there who's not a musician.
Okay, nice.
Which is pretty cool. I do a Moonlight series, which is, you know, I used to be a sommelier and I was working with wine, and I do a series at the Refinery in Jack's Beach on the second floor. And every full moon, as the full moon rises up over the ocean, and we do a 4-course dinner and wine pairing with a mind reading and hypnosis show.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. It's
cool.
been selling out.
That would be a good time.
It is the best date night in town. You get 4-course dinner, you get your wine, it's all included. I'm up on stage, the moon is rising up over the ocean, it's all candlelight. And no, it's super intimate.
That's cool.
It's very nice. I have a great residency in Avondale right now. There's a speakeasy at a shop called Cork Time. And it's kind of across from, where Casbah is.
Yeah.
So you go through this little spice shop, and there's a curtain. There's a little secret speakeasy 25-seat bar in the back. And once a month, I'm there doing an intimate, parlor spiritualism mind reading show.
That's cool.
And it's really fun. I'm up in Fernandina Beach at Ash Street Cigar Lounge once a month. I'll be at Spinster Abbott's in St. Augustine. And I get to go on First Coast Living and do a lot of magic and mentalism for them on TV, every other month.
That's cool.
It's been super fun. It's been super fun.
Cool. So y'all show love for sure. You got a ton of opportunities to see Alex Trendler. There's no excuses.
Oh yeah. If you want to see me and you ain't seeing me, that's on you. I am available. I have at least one show a week all the way through September. I'm all over the place.
That's cool. Hey, you got anything else, brother?
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That was one of the craziest. I had a name picked out from the second you brought it up, and yeah,
it's crazy because
it's unexplainable.
If you weren't a believer originally, you definitely are now.
Yeah,
and that's kind of how I felt whenever he did the first trick at Cool Culture or whatever. I think is when you did the first one for me.
Okay,
and I was like, I was actually the one recording when he did the first trick, and I was
I remember that.
Yeah,
and we combined everyone's birthdays.
Yeah, that's right. And I was
really fun.
It was there was no way to fake it. You know what I mean? And so, I just thought there was no way to fake it. Maybe I'm wrong, but it was very impressive. A lot of things he did was very impressive. And then I knew today was going to be impressive, but not this impressive. I'm kind of spooked,
Yeah.
But Alex, ton of respect, man.
I feel like this is the first time I'm taking something from one of our guests other than just a networking opportunity. It's just leaving. I'm what you said in my Palm reading is interesting. I don't have much to comment. I'm not going to get that deep and personal, but it was interesting.
Honestly, man, that's a great compliment. Thank you very much. And I want to thank you guys for being so open to experience this. What I do doesn't work if people aren't willing to meet me halfway, right? And that's kind of the difference between what I do and a magician, where it's not a trick that works every time and something I can, pull a string or put something somewhere. I have to connect with people on a real human level, and you have to be willing to be open to that experience. And it's not something that I do for you. Truly, it's something that we do together.
Yeah, for sure. That was really cool, man. Seriously, thank you so much for being on the show, Alex.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Can't wait to do more. Don't forget the magic cards as well.
Beautiful.
Can't believe those. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the start of season 4, episode 152.
Season 3.
Nope, season 3 we just completed.
Did we?
50 episode
Holy
seasons,
shit.
152. But we've got some new things coming. I'm sure we're going to talk a ton about it in the intro, which we're about to record. But Alex, once again, brother, thank you so much. Dude, seriously,
my
appreciate
pleasure,
it, man.
Thank
You're
you
the
so
man.
much.
Meet you, man.
Pleasure to meet you.
Until next time, OGs, we will see y'all next week. Boys, we are out.